I'll ask Jimmy, what are you gonna do about it, Jimmy? Whatever you gonna do, brother. You know, and that's a good attitude. All right, here now we're up to the point that I'm going to ask you two questions. I want you to write these down, because we're going to cover the first question, and then we're going to come back and cover the second question. I'm going to ask you, do you have joy in your life? Do you have joy in your life? Very simple question. Yes, no, all those. Okay? Now the second question, does your life bring joy to the ones in your life? Does your life bring joy to the ones who are around you that are in your life? Like I said, Charlotte has joy all the time when her granddaughter comes over there, because her name is Joy. Joy, let's go back talk a little bit about joy. Joy is one of the fruit of the Holy Spirit. Everybody agree? Amen. Along with love, goodness, patience, kindness, peace, gentleness, self-control, and joy. Okay? In Matthew 12:33, Jesus said, He said, make a tree good and its fruit will be what? Good. Make a tree bad and its fruit will be bad. Now I'm talking about joy in the person, okay? For a tree is known by its what? Its fruit. Let me ask you a question. You go out there, Michelle, you go out and plant you an apple tree. You gonna pick apples first year? No. You gonna pick them second year either. You gonna pick them third year. Probably fourth year you maybe have a couple apples. A tree does not bear fruit the first year. A tree does not bear fruit the second year. Now I'm talking about when you come into this world, you didn't produce fruit. All you done was produce something you cleaned up, okay? Because you had two duties. You eat and slept and cried and messed, okay? Put it mildly. Did you know, when you brought children into this world, did you know what personality or what that character or what they were going to develop into? You know, the old saying, an apple never falls too far away from the tree. Well, that kind of means they're going to look like you, okay? And they're going to act like you to some degree, okay? But there's got to be some cultivation, there's got to be some nurture, and there's got to be some discipline along the way, okay? To develop a child. The same way with God. You know, joy inside of you is not something you go down here to Publix and pick off the shelf and buy. It ain't to be bought. It's not to be practiced. It's not to be put in by man. Joy is put in you by Jesus. Amen. Joy is the fruit of the right relation with God. Joy is the state of delight and well-being that results from knowing and serving God. Joy is directly in proportion to your walk with God. The closer you walk to God, the more joy you will have. I'm going to ask you again, do you have joy in your life? You say, well, I don't know if I've got joy, but I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm sure y'all heard that before. And then you'll say, I'm happy most of the time. Oh, that's a happy baby. That's a happy baby until he gets hungry or is wet or he soiled his diaper. Then you'll see the mood change quickly. That's the way people are. They're happy until the mood or the situation changes and that happiness goes to something else. Okay? Happy. But you look at old Phil, you wonder if he is happy, because he don't look real happy, okay? Happiness really shows sometimes, okay? Well, let's talk about happy. What's the difference between happiness and joy? Okay? If you have joy, you're going to have happiness. But if you have happiness, you may not necessarily have the joy. And I kind of look at it like this. I can take a man and take him to eat, and he will be happy. 5 or 6 hours later, he is hungry again, which he is not happy. Okay? So I look at it like it as physical food. As long as you eat, you're happy. But when you want food, you're unhappy till you get a meal. And some people are that way until they get that first cup of coffee. You best not speak to them. Just chill. Okay? Once they get a cup of coffee down, they're okay. All right? But joy, the joy is a little bit different. Get in this word. Get in this word. Start reading this word. That word gets in you. Gets in your mind. Comes on down a little bit. Gets in your heart. What goes through your heart? Blood. Blood. And it just kind of permeates out into the rest of your body. And it's just so much easier to smile when you get that spiritual food in you. When you get that Jesus in your heart. Now, I asked Joe, we were doing our little devotion, and I asked him, I said, Joe, I'm going to tell you some words, and you tell me what they mean. We got down to cost. I said, what's cost mean? Because that if I want it bad enough, it don't matter about the cost. And that was the right thing to say, because, you know, happiness is in your mind, but joy is in your heart. It don't cost that, because I said before that Jesus is going to be in your heart, and that's where the joy is going to come from. So are we seeking happiness, or are we seeking joy? Do we do things to make us happy, or do we do things to give us joy? Do we do things to get more Jesus in our heart? Or are we just seeking pleasure out there with the world? Are we just seeking pleasure or happiness or something like that? Come here, Brother Steve. I want you to do what? Lauren? Lay down your book. Why don't you go with Brother Steve a minute? Go with Brother Steve. And you said you were going to do what I asked you to do, right? Okay, cool. You coming back. You coming back. I'm going to tell you something. You're not going to miss a thing. When they come back, I'm going to show you what joy is. I'm going to show you an example of joy on both of them. They don't want to know. Okay? Let me show you something right quick while they're gone. They're going to be back in just a second. Somebody being happy. That make y'all happy, ladies? Oh, yeah. Help. 5 days. 5 days sale. 20% off. Hey, all right. Okay, hold on, man. I got nothing here. Okay, how about it, man? All the two. Everything on sale. Whoa. Get in the tool. How about this, Cabela's? Whoa. Got you happy for a while, don't it? Until the sale goes off, don't it? And you went